Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of AI in Retail with QBCS. We will see practical examples of how you can use AI and how you can leverage the help of the AI. What if we could do an application from scratch with the help of AI, and at least we will do this experiment and we will see how far we can get. In order to achieve this and create an application, the first step we identified is basically the requirement. What are the exact clear and hands-on requirements that is needed to be fulfilled? What are the sources where we can get these requirements from? We can collect these requirements through meetings, and we can also search for the internet for best practices. And the next step, if we have requirement, we can go one step further and ask AI LLM tools to create a document requirement specification from this input, and we can see how you can create a very good level of specification for an application. And it would be very good not only for AI to create everything, it would be a very good input for third-party employees or third-party companies who can deliver this application. It's also very important for the project manager to see what are the main steps and what are the main how this application will look like and what are the main points. It would be very useful for the developers, of course, and the architects to see the whole picture, how the application looks like. It would be very good for the business users to see that and to be sure that all the important business flows that they requested and user flows are there. In this podcast episode, we will see this point 1 and 2, and hopefully in the next episode, we will use this documentation and try to create an application from scratch. One common thing is that, for example, if you have a meeting with the stakeholders, you had a meeting, you will have a transcript of the meeting. If you just export this transcript from the meeting and just put it into the chat window and add the prompt to identify the reporting requirements, because this is basically a reporting transcript, but it can be any other requirements based on the attached meeting transcript, ChatGPT or Gemini or anything else will help you and give you some kind of a summary about these requirements. So this is a very good way to process the data here and collect everything and use it in a later form. As a next step, if I have this requirement, I would go to NotebookLM, which is a very, very useful feature from Google. Basically, it's a notebook where you can store your own notes and you can add your own sources, and then if you ask anything from NotebookLM, it will answer you based on the sources that you uploaded. I will show you how it works. As you can see, I already created a supplier portal as well, but I will do one more from scratch. Starts with the upload screen. You can upload the sources like PDF, text files, markdown files, audio files, website links, YouTube links. It will be as a source in later phases, and also you can use the Discover sources. We will use it in a minute. First, let me just add the name for this our notebook, which would be, for example, vendor portal, for instance. So let's start and add sources like add, and we can also use the Discover, let's say Discover sources, and I would tell him, for example, here that please collect me feature lists, user guides, operation guides, white papers, etc. from vendor portal applications. In this case, it will search the internet and find you very good sources. So let's start with this first one, and the more sources we have, the better vision we will have. Here you can have these sources, application guides, vendor portals, which is very good. So it is 10 sources. I would just import them. Right now for demonstration, I just need some kind of a knowledge and some kind of a documentation source. So I will add a couple more. Let's say, please give me the same basically guides and white papers, best practices for supplier hub. There's Oracle, supplier management, supplier user guides, and so on. So import these as well. Let's just start with this one. We have a very good documentation right now. Of course, you can add your own if you want. We have some requirements. So, for example, here I listed ones. We need supplier hub to manage the suppliers, quotations, create orders, see the supplier performance. So I would add a prompt here that I would like to create a supplier hub application. I need at least the following features. These ones. Please help me create the PRD. A PRD is the product requirement document for this application based on your sources. This will be, and then I really hope it will give you a first version, a draft version of PRD that we can use later. Yeah, it's created. There is an introduction here. We have the goals, the onboarding, supplier onboarding, quotations, target users. We have internal users and also vendors. Of course, the vendors can also log into our supplier hub, manage new suppliers, customizable onboarding forms, qualification workflow. So I will copy this one, the whole thing, and I can also copy this as save to note. So later time, if I want to check this answer, it is already saved here. This is the main feature of Notebook-LM. I copied this one. Let me show you and go back to cursor where I have the documentation. I have the podcast here. I will create a new file, PRD supplier hub 0 txt, and then I will paste it everything here. You can see it's very good. I think it's in Markdown format, but yeah, it's good for us right now. Let's move on with it. So it's also a very good start. We can have a PRD. We can use this PRD for mock-up screens, but we can do a much better documentation based on this PRD. I will go to Gemini. You can use OpenAI, you can use Claude, you can use, I don't know, Perplexity as well. In the Gem Manager, in the Gem field, you can have different AIs with different descriptions. For example, I created a requirement document creator, and if I click on edit, here I can add the name, this is okay, and here I can add the instructions. So in this case, it is a technical project planning assistant with senior dev with 20 years of experience, and it will basically process my inputs, and it is described how it should process it, how it should create the document or the final output. We will need a PRD documentation, front-end documentation, back-end API documentation, and so on. So let's go back and try to use it. So here I am here in the requirement document creator. Let me copy it here based on the attached supplier hub PRD. Please create full documentation stack for my supplier hub application. I would just add this prompt, and with this prompt it will go through the PRD and it will provide me the documentation that I requested. It will analyze everything, structure the documentation, and so on, and it will come back very quickly. It will create the documentation stack right away. It's just fantastic. Okay, I think there are only 4 key features. So I think we can also add more features here. Can you give me more my portal supplier hubs based on the best practices. So once we have everything here, then we can download everything in one go. I will download everything and show you what is the end result. As you can see, we have a lot of documentation here, starting with the README file that can be extended. There's the PRD file. It says that it is a mirror and a summarized version of the PRD that we added, but it also created a bunch of really good detailed documentation, for example, for the API documentations, for the backend stuff, the database schema, what are the main tables. Everything is in Markdown documents. I will leave it because it will be good for the further steps for us, but of course you can export it, the Markdown, convert it to Excel, PDF, anywhere if you want. If you in parts there where you need to modify it, please modify it. But these are, I think, a very good starting point, and it was very fast, very easy to us to get at this point. So these tools and these usage of AI it could be very helpful on the everyday life, and I really hope that I'm really excited about the next episode where we can use all of this documentation and start to create an application based on that, and also mockups based on that. So thank you for your attention, thank you for your time, and see you soon in the next episode. Thanks, bye.